Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is about a guy who thought he was in a stable 2-year relationship, only to find out his girlfriend was playing games behind his back. What started as a so-called 10-day breakup test quickly turned into a shocking betrayal. If you like stories about love, lies, and brutal revenge, stick around until the end. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more true-to-life stories. I'm 34, and for a little over 2 years, I thought I was in a stable relationship. Things weren't always perfect. We had our share of small arguments like any couple, but I honestly believed we were solid. I trusted her, and I thought she trusted me. Then one evening, completely out of the blue, she sat me down at our kitchen table. The way she looked at me that night was strange, like she had already made up her mind about something but was trying to find the right words. She started with, "I need a breakup." At first, I thought she meant it in the usual sense. My heart skipped a beat, and I immediately asked her, "Wait, are you saying we're done?" But she quickly followed it up with, "Not a real breakup. Just temporary." I sat there, confused. Temporary breakup? I had never even heard of something like that. She said she wasn't feeling good about us anymore and needed some space. According to her, 10 days apart would help her clear her mind. I asked her what exactly she meant by that. Was she moving out for 10 days? Was she going to stay with friends or family? What did she expect me to do during this so-called break? She avoided eye contact when she answered. She said she would be leaving the house for 10 days and, when she came back, she'd decide if she still loved me or not. Just like that. Like our relationship was some kind of experiment she could take a break from and then pick up again if it suited her. I remember sitting there in silence, trying to process it. She leaned back in her chair and added something that hit me even harder. "Don't wait for me." That phrase didn't make any sense. If she really wanted space to think, why would she tell me not to wait for her? What was I supposed to do with that? Date other people during those 10 days? Pretend we weren't together at all? I pressed her again, asking, "Where exactly are you going for these 10 days? She shrugged, almost casually, and said she didn't want to tell me. Maybe to another city, maybe just somewhere to think. The way she said it was vague, almost rehearsed. Right then, something shifted in my mind. I had been with her long enough to know her patterns, and this wasn't how she normally handled things. If she was stressed, she usually wanted to talk about it. If we fought, she wanted to resolve it quickly. This 10-day break didn't feel like her at all. It felt staged. I sat there staring at her, trying to read her expression. She wasn't sad. She wasn't even angry. She was distant, detached, like she was already halfway out the door. Still, I didn't want to push too hard. I just said, "If that's what you think you need, then do it. But don't expect me to sit here like nothing's happening." She didn't answer. She just stood up, grabbed a small bag she had apparently already packed, and headed for the door. No hug. No kiss, no reassurance. Just, "I'll be back in 10 days. And then she was gone. As the door closed behind her, I sat there in the silence of the apartment, replaying her words in my head. 10 days. Clear my mind. Don't wait for me. None of it made sense. But one thing was already gnawing at me. People don't vanish for 10 days without saying where they're going unless they're hiding something. At that moment, I didn't know just how right I was. The moment she stepped out, I sat there with my thoughts spinning. The more I replayed the conversation, the more it felt wrong. If she really needed space, why not just say she was going to her parents or staying with a friend? Why keep it a secret? Why leave me hanging with a vague, "Don't wait for me"? That night, I barely slept. My gut told me this wasn't about clearing her mind. It was about hiding something from me. I didn't have proof yet, but something inside me just knew. By morning, I had made my decision. If she wanted this break, fine. But I wasn't going to be the guy who sat around waiting for crumbs of love to be handed back to him. As soon as I had my coffee, I did something I don't think she expected at all. I blocked her number. It was partly out of anger, partly out of self-preservation. If she came back after 10 days, sure, maybe we'd talk. But I wasn't going to let her string me along or use me as some emotional safety net while she figured things out. The next day, though, my phone lit up with a call from an unknown number. Normally, I don't answer those, but something told me I should pick it up. So I did. And sure enough, it was her. She didn't sound calm. She didn't sound like someone thinking things through. She was practically yelling the moment I said hello. "Why isn't my card working?" she demanded. "I'm at the mall right now, and I can't pay for anything. Did you mess with it?" Her tone was sharp, annoyed, like I had inconvenienced her. Not once did she ask how I was, or even acknowledge the fact that she'd left without a real explanation. It was all about her money problems. I stayed quiet for a moment before answering. "We're not in a relationship anymore. You don't get to use my money or my cards." The silence that followed was brief, but telling. Then, almost instantly, her voice softened. Gone was the yelling. Now she was sweet, almost apologetic. "This was only a test," she said. I just wanted to see if you really loved me. That's why I said 10 days. I was testing you. I had to pull the phone away from my ear and stare at it like maybe I'd misheard. A test? That's what she was calling it. I let her keep talking, and she spun this story about how she needed to pretend to leave in order to see how I'd react. According to her, if I had fought for her or begged her to stay, it would have proved my love. If I respected her space, that also proved my love. In her mind, no matter what I did, she could twist it into being about her. I couldn't believe the audacity. 2 years together, and instead of trusting me, instead of talking through whatever issues she had, she came up with a half-baked 10-day breakup test and thought I'd just play along. I cut her off mid-sentence and said, "You're seriously telling me you left, disappeared without saying where, and maxed out my card because you were testing me?" She went quiet again, then tried to backtrack. "I mean, not like that. I needed to know if you really cared." I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. The anger in my chest was building, but more than that, I felt this overwhelming sense of clarity. Someone who loves you doesn't need to put you through a test. Someone who loves you doesn't treat your trust like a game. And deep down, I already knew this wasn't about any test at all. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. 2 years together, and she really thought it was okay to treat me like some school project, like she could test me and grade my reaction. I said to her, "I'm not some material for you to test. If you need to test your partner, then you already don't trust them." She insisted, her voice suddenly shaky. No, I love you. I do. I just needed to be sure." But her words felt hollow. My instincts were telling me there was more to this than some stupid test. And I was done taking her word at face value. So I asked her directly, "Where are you right now?" She didn't hesitate. "At the mall." That didn't surprise me. She had already claimed her card wasn't working there. But something about the way she said it. It felt rehearsed, like she had already prepared that excuse. "All right then," I said. "Prove it. Turn on a video call." The line went quiet. She didn't answer at first, and I could hear muffled background noise. Finally, she replied, "I can't right now. I'm in the changing room." That excuse landed flat. I wasn't buying it. If she was really in the changing room, she could have just stepped out for 5 seconds. She knew it, and I knew it. "You're not in any changing room," I told her. "If you were, you wouldn't be hiding from me like this." She let out a forced laugh, the kind she used when she was caught in a lie and trying to act like it was no big deal. "Babe, you're overthinking. I'm really here. I promise." Right then, while she was on the line, my phone buzzed with another notification. I glanced down, and what I saw froze me in place. The caller ID from the unknown number she was using had synced to my phone. And instead of showing up as blank, it flashed a man's name. A name I didn't recognize. It wasn't her number at all. It was his. That was the missing piece. It clicked instantly. She hadn't been testing me. She wasn't having some solo reflection trip. She was out with another guy, using his phone to call me, while still trying to use my money to fund whatever they were doing together. I didn't explode. I didn't shout or throw accusations. I just sat there, staring at that name, letting the reality sink in. She was lying straight to my face, even while on the phone. I said one last thing before ending the call. "If you really loved me, you wouldn't need to hide behind someone else's phone." And then I hung up. She tried calling back almost immediately, but I didn't answer. The more I thought about it, the calmer I felt. It was like the truth had been sitting right in front of me all along, and now it finally showed itself. This wasn't about a test. It wasn't about space, or clarity, or love. It was about betrayal. She was gone, with another guy, and she thought I'd just wait around for her to come back after 10 days like nothing happened. Not anymore. That caller ID flashing another man's name was all the proof I needed. I didn't need to argue with her anymore. I didn't need to sit there begging for answers. The truth was right in front of me, and it was ugly. I hung up without another word. No yelling. No demands for explanations. Just silence. And in that silence, something inside me shifted. For weeks, maybe months, I had been second-guessing myself, wondering if I wasn't doing enough, if I wasn't giving her what she needed. But at that moment, all of that weight lifted. The problem wasn't me. The problem was that she had already checked out of the relationship while I was still holding on. Almost immediately, she started calling back. First from the same number, then from blocked ones. I ignored them all. Then came the texts. At first, they were defensive. "You're overreacting. You don't understand. I told you it was a test." But when I didn't respond, the tone changed. Suddenly, she was apologetic, saying things like, "Please just talk to me, and I can explain." I wasn't interested in explanations. Not anymore. Instead, I took the next step. I logged into my bank account and immediately removed her access. For 2 years, she had been linked to my card, and I trusted her with it. But trust is fragile, and once it's broken, there's no repairing it. I froze the card she'd been using, canceled the old one, and made sure she couldn't get her hands on my money again. I'll admit, as I was doing it, a part of me wondered if she ever thought I'd actually go this far. Maybe in her mind, she figured I'd just roll over, let her come back after 10 days, and pretend nothing happened. Maybe she believed I'd never take that card away from her because I'd always been the reliable one, the guy she could count on to pick up the pieces. She was wrong. That night, she called again. This time, I let it go to voicemail. When I finally listened, it was a full minute of her crying and begging me not to shut her out. She said I was misunderstanding everything, that she loved me and only needed space. But the thing about love is, it's not supposed to make you question if it's real. And hers felt more like manipulation than love. The next morning, another voicemail came through. This time, her tone was angry again. She demanded that I give her what belongs to her. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. What belonged to her? My card? My bank account? My trust? She had already burned through all of those. I deleted the message without responding. For the first time in a long time, I felt in control. Not because I had won some fight, but because I finally stopped playing a game I never agreed to play in the first place. She thought she was running a test, but in reality, she ended up showing me exactly who she was and giving me the clarity I needed. I was done. By the time I had shut off her access to my accounts, I thought I had done everything I needed. I expected her to eventually fade out, maybe disappear with whoever that guy was. But I underestimated her persistence. The next few days turned into a strange cycle. She would call from random numbers, leave voicemails, or send long texts. Some were sweet, some were furious, and some just didn't make sense at all. It was like she was throwing everything at the wall, hoping something would stick. One voicemail still stands out to me. She said, "You think you're smart by blocking me, but I still have the card details. Don't forget that." That line caught my attention. She genuinely believed she still had the upper hand. For 2 years, she had been so used to me covering bills, groceries, little splurges here and there, that in her mind, my money was just another safety net she could fall back on. Even now, what she didn't realize was that I had already shut everything down. Every card number she had memorized, every auto payment she'd set up, it was all gone. When she tried to run another charge, it bounced. She found out the hard way, and I know it must have blindsided her. Because suddenly, the tone of her messages changed. Now she wasn't talking about tests or space. Now she was pleading about survival. How am I supposed to get by without that? I need help. I thought you'd always take care of me. That was the mask slipping. For so long, she had been confident that no matter what she did, I'd be there to clean up after her. But once the money was gone, the panic set in. And it wasn't just about finances, it was about control. She had lost the ability to pull me back in whenever she wanted, and she didn't know how to handle it. One evening, she showed up at my door. I didn't open it, but I stood on the other side listening. She knocked for nearly 15 minutes, alternating between begging and cursing. "Please, just let me explain. You're overreacting, it wasn't what it looked like. You can't just cut me off like this, after everything I've given you." That last part made me shake my head. After everything she had given me? I wanted to laugh at the irony. What she had really given me was 2 years of trust, followed by 10 days of lies. I didn't open the door. Eventually, she left, and I watched from the window as she got into a car I didn't recognize, the same man's name that had popped up on my phone days earlier. That was the curtain falling. Any doubt I had left evaporated in that moment. She wasn't here because she loved me. She wasn't here because she regretted it. She was here because she realized she no longer had access to me or my money. And when she drove off with him, I knew one thing for sure. I had made the right choice. What came next was her final attempt to pull me back in, and it was as desperate as it was predictable. After she showed up at my door and I refused to answer, I figured that would be the end of it. She had a new guy, she didn't have access to my accounts, and she knew I wasn't picking up the phone. In my mind, she'd eventually just give up. But that's not what happened. The very next day, my phone buzzed again, this time with a long, emotional email. The subject line read, "Don't let us end like this." She poured paragraph after paragraph about how I was the only one who ever really understood her, how I was her safe place, and how she had made a mistake, but only because she was scared. Reading it, I could almost hear her voice, trying to tug at my emotions the way she always had. But I noticed something else too. Buried between her, "I love you," lines were subtle digs. She blamed me for not being romantic enough lately, for working too much, for not noticing she needed more. It wasn't just an apology. It was her way of rewriting the story so that somehow I shared the blame for her betrayal. I didn't respond. That silence must have driven her crazy, because over the next few days, the messages escalated. She used friends' phones to call me, even numbers I didn't recognize. She left voicemails, some of them calm and sweet, others loud and frantic. One ended with her yelling, You think you can just erase me like I'm nothing? You'll regret this. That one stuck with me, not because I was scared, but because it showed her desperation wasn't about love. It was about control slipping away. A few nights later, there was another knock at my door. This time, it wasn't soft begging like before. It was loud, impatient banging. I didn't answer. Through the peephole, I saw her again, pacing back and forth with her phone in hand. She shouted, "I just want to talk." "That's it. 5 minutes. Don't you think I deserve that after everything?" But the truth was, she had already said everything she needed to. Her actions were louder than any apology she could give me. After about 10 minutes, she stormed off again, and I caught the flash of headlights outside as she left in the same car from before. Watching that, I finally stopped wondering why. Why she lied. Why she played games. Why she thought a 10-day test was even reasonable. The answer didn't matter anymore. The only thing that mattered was that she wasn't my problem anymore. Over the next couple of days, her tone shifted once more. The begging returned, but this time it came with promises. "I'll cut him off if you just forgive me. I'll prove I love you. Just give me one chance. I don't care about money. I only care about you." But the irony was too much to ignore. If she really didn't care about money, she wouldn't have called me from a mall demanding I fix her credit card. If she only cared about me, she wouldn't have walked out for 10 days with another guy and thought she could just waltz back in when it suited her. By this point, I didn't even feel angry anymore. I felt detached, numb, like I was finally stepping out of a fog I didn't realize I'd been living in. Her desperation didn't pull me back, it pushed me further away. And soon, I knew I'd have to give her my final answer. For the next week, my phone was nonstop. Calls, texts, emails. She tried every way she could think of to get through to me. Sometimes it was her. Sometimes it was her friends. Sometimes it was just blocked numbers I knew were her. Every message carried the same theme. "I really love you. Please forgive me. It was just a test." But here's the thing, I didn't need a test. I had already lived 2 years with her. I had seen the good days, the bad days, and everything in between. Love isn't something you measure with experiments. It's something you show every day, in the way you treat the person you're with. And if she had truly loved me, she wouldn't have walked out with a half-packed bag, leaving me with nothing but a vague, "Don't wait for me." If she had truly loved me, she wouldn't have vanished with another man while trying to drain my bank account. If she had truly loved me, she wouldn't have stood outside my door demanding explanations while hiding the truth behind excuses. The more I thought about it, the more I realized the best revenge wasn't yelling at her, exposing her, or even trying to make her feel guilty. The best revenge was making sure she could never use me again, financially, emotionally, or otherwise. So I did just that. I stopped listening to her voicemails. I stopped opening her emails. I blocked every new number she tried to use. When her friends reached out, I told them the truth in a single line. "We're done, and I don't owe her anything." Eventually, the calls slowed down. And then, one day, they just stopped. I don't know if she finally gave up, or if she moved on to someone else. But the silence was the closure I needed. It wasn't easy at first. I won't pretend I didn't miss her some nights, or that I didn't replay memories of when things were good. But whenever that nostalgia crept in, I reminded myself of the mall phone call, the fake test, the car she left in. Those reminders kept me grounded. Over time, the pain dulled. And eventually, I met someone new. Someone who didn't see love as a game. Someone who didn't need to test me to know what we had was real. It felt different, and in the best way possible. Looking back now, I'm grateful I didn't cave when she begged. Because that so-called test wasn't about love at all. It was about control. It was about how much nonsense I was willing to put up with. And by walking away, I finally passed my own test. So, if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's that love shouldn't be conditional. It shouldn't come with rules, tricks, or trials. If someone feels the need to test you, they've already failed. I moved on. She's just a chapter in a story I don't plan to reread. But sometimes I wonder, if you were in my shoes, would you have given her a chance to explain? Or would you have walked away too? So what do you all think? Was she really testing him, or was that just her excuse after getting caught? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more real stories like this. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.